And it is my pleasure to have Sunil George from Solve, a division of Stimulus Consulting, to talk to us this morning about a very unique product.
Many organizations conduct what they call as an employee engagement survey periodically, and they don't know what to do with it after. So what we have is a product which actually tells organizations what to do with those numbers that you get. People, kind of hammer managers saying, I want you to change these numbers. But they do nothing about it after. So we actually have a process to real-time bring change in employee engagement levels, those surveys. I think those are important.
So that's called EES.
Yeah, EES, you can call that for short.
Okay.
EES, yes.
Okay, fair enough. What's this Unwrap about?
Unwrap is really about divulging the survey results.
Oh, okay.
What I realize is if you actually gave managers their reports, they will not then look at the organization's reports. So there's a process like peeling an onion, and you do it layer by layer.
Mm-hmm.
And we start with an organization, we go down to the department, and there's a way we share it also with the managers, and then we also need a coach and handhold, because we have people who actually say, no, this is not me, I didn't give that person leave, that's why he wrote something atrocious. So Unwrap is a way to actually divulge that and work with this data.
Okay. Why is this unique, and how do you do it differently from organizations that do it internally or use other vendors?
Right. So I think our approach is unique because we work with behaviors.
Behaviors?
I believe that you cannot change numbers which are on a survey. You can only change the behaviors which contribute to those numbers. So our approach is unique, that we work with what is causing those numbers, and we believe that if you really need change, it will take coaching, facilitation, hand-holding, a lot of that. So we actually work with those behaviors and try and build behavior modification in our process.
Right. Would you be able to work with an organization who has their own survey results?
Absolutely, yes. So many organizations have their own surveys, and what we do is we work with them. And I remember talking to a very senior leader from an organization who said, this cannot be done within their organization. You need a third party to do this. Because half the problems are about those managers. And if they are going to do this, they're going to do a shoddy job. So I really believe that you need a third party who can work with survey results and do this part.
So how would you actually go about doing it? You've done this before.
Yes.
So could you just walk us through the process?
Sure. So Solve is our process, while Solve is also the organization.
Oh, right, yeah, that's it. Solve.
It is also a process.
Okay.
So a 5-step process where Solve is an acronym. S stands for seek. So we get the information.
Okay.
We try and understand this information. O stands for observe and outcome. So in the early stage of this intervention, we kind of define what is it that is good, what is it that needs to change, what is the organization looking for as an outcome.
Okay.
L stands for listen, which is we need to understand the story which contributed to these numbers. V stands for value add, which is about co-creating solutions. It's about getting them to come up with their solutions, which includes facilitation, coaching, multiple approaches that we use there. And the last E stands for evaluate, which is really about follow-up and hand-holding after solutions are created. People need to put it into place. And therefore, this is really about following up, because otherwise things could backslide. So SOLVE is the acronym. Seek, observe, or outcome, listen, evaluate. And that's the process we do, and there's method to it. Yeah.
Very interesting. The culture building initiative, right? That differentiates your organization. So can you tell us a little bit about some of the, success factors of using Solve as an approach?
Sure. So I believe that if your employees are committed, we can achieve a lot. And for me, the biggest success factor here is a senior leadership commitment to a process like this. I can think of an organization where they had, before we took up this project, we had a lot of infighting by senior leaders. One team was trying to make sure that another team could not perform. And we find politics and organizational conflict in most places. We all know the bad is happening, but no one does anything about it. So for me, when we did the survey, we actually found out what was happening in that organization. And we got the data, which we always knew was bad, but we worked with this data. We use this data as an excuse to do a conversation. And those conversations and those coaching conversations helped us do those changes. All of this is possible provided there's senior leadership contribution and people really want to change. So those for me would be the success factors there.
Right. So Solve gives us direction to change, which would contribute to the organization. Okay. How would it contribute to the organization as well as the individuals in the organization?
I believe that if you can get people to be happy and engaged in an organization, it's going to contribute multiple ways.
Okay.
For one, if I was to have people happy, they stay in organizations for longer. And when people stay longer, there's retention. I believe they're able to do more. More importantly, the customers you're serving are also happy with you because they have the older hands, quality and defect parameters are looking better. So I think it actually gets to customer engagement at this stage. And when the customers are happy and when they have had the people who always served them, I believe that they would keep coming back to you. And therefore it leads to ROI and productivity. So for me, this real output is in these three parameters. Employee engagement leading to customer engagement, leading to ROI and productivity or profitability.
Sunil, how did this process of Solve start in your mind?
Right. So I'm sure you know that Stimulus started classically as a training organization, and 97 when we started, training was the focus and has been for a long time. What we realized is we are causing little change. We are focusing on a layer or our participants. This could be a 2-day, 4-day, whatever program. What we realize is that culture change is a requirement in organizations. When we started doing research here, we realized that we required a different approach, and Solve evolved. That's the way I would say it. When Solve originally started, we started this, and when we copyrighted this was copyrighted as a coaching and a consulting model and an approach. Today, when we are looking at it, I think there's been a lot of inputs we've learned from some of the customers we've served. This has evolved. But this is what I would call as an infinite program. And I think if you lead an organization, if you're here, you want to grow. I don't think there's a finish line to growth. There's not a finish line to culture building. There's nothing called being the best manager, being the best leader or dad or mom. I think you haven't got an end line. This is a continuous process.
Interesting. Okay. Having said that, could this project actually fail in any way?
It could fail, and I've seen it fail, in a couple of occasions. It fails if people are doing it for the sake of doing it. If there's no senior leadership skin in the game, if they are not committed, I think this can fail.
Yeah. Interesting. Sunil, briefly, could you summarize, what's in it for the organization?
Sure. So for me, I believe if your employees are committed, then I think a lot is achievable. And employee engagement is a limiting factor to a lot of other pieces. So for me, the real take is employee engagement leads to a happier customer, and it shows in the customer engagement. And if more of your customers are happy, then I believe it leads to the end net result, which is ROI and productivity and profitability, which is really the intent of most organizations. So that's really the outcome. And most people don't see this foundation. For me, it's to work on the foundation, which is employee engagement, which is what the survey and this process does really.
Very well said, Sunil George. Thank you very much for sharing your insights. So there you have it, friends. We've heard it from Sunil. We would like you to explore the use of this tool, Solve from Stimulus Consulting.
Thank you, Brian.